Good morning. So this video, in addition to something else that you're going to watch, is going to sum up the rest of this unit, which is univariate data. So we've already talked about a couple of measures of center. So our measures of center are our median center, so median, middle, center, okay, and our mean. Okay, and so we also want to talk about our measures of spread. So think about the spread from the minimum value in your data set to your maximum value. Okay, so we already know that that is called the range. And we also have another range, the range between quartile 1 and quartile 3, which is your inner quartile range. Okay, so those two things together are called our measure of spread. And another one that we can add to that is something called standard deviation. And standard deviation just represents the average of your distance between the individual data values. So like these are individual data values and the mean. So the difference between 77 and the mean or 86 and the mean. Okay, you're finding the average of all of those. So in order to find standard deviation, our first step here is to find the mean. Okay, so if you find the mean of this data set, you're going to add up all the values. It's the sum of all your values divided by however many values you have. So I want you to pause this video at this moment and go ahead and find the mean. So you should have already found the mean as being 86. Okay, this is your mean. Now we're going to set up a table of all of our data set, all of our data values. So we have 77, we have 86, 84, 90, and 93. Okay, so those are all of the data values in our set. Okay, then our second column is the deviation from the mean, and the deviation simply just means the difference. So you're finding the difference between the data value and the mean that you've already found. So if you notice here in the first block, I have 77, which is the first data value in my set, minus the mean, which we already found to be 86, equals -9. So let's do this for all of the other data values in our set. So 86 minus our mean, which is also 86. So that is 0. 84 minus 86 equals -2. 90 minus 86 equals 4. And 93 minus 86 equals 7. Okay, so we have found the deviation from the mean. We found the difference between the mean and the data set, the data value in our set. Now, for this third column, we're going to find the squared deviation. So you're just taking whatever number you got here and squaring it. Okay, so let's continue to do that. So 0 squared equals 0. -2 squared equals 4. 4 squared equals 16. And 7 squared equals 49. Okay, so these are all your squared deviations. So once we have completed that table, we're now going to use the information that we gained from it to find the mean of the squared deviations. Remember that a mean is an average. Okay, so we're finding an average of the squared deviations. Well, when you do that, you're going to add all of the squared deviations, which is everything in this third column, and you're going to divide by however many number of values you have. So let's start. 81 plus 0 plus 4 plus 16 plus 49 divided by 5. And once you've done this, you should get 30. So once you have found the mean of the squared deviations, all you're going to do is find the square root of that. So the square root of 30, when you plug that into the calculator, is going to give you something like 5.84, something like that, okay? That number is your standard deviation. So I want you to pause here, and I want you to try and complete this example. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to find the mean. So we're going to add up all of our data. And divide it by however many you have. Once you do this, you should have gotten 26 as your mean. Okay? Then the second one is going to be, your second step is setting up that table. So remember, we have x, so those are all the values in our data set. We have x minus the mean, and then we have our deviation squared. Okay, so we have 21, 31, 26, 24, 28, and 26. So we will have 21 minus our mean, which is 26. So that is negative 5. 31 minus 26, which is 5. 26 minus 26, 0. 24 minus 26, negative 2. 28 minus 26, 2. And 26 minus 26, 0. Then we're going to go back and we're going to square those. So negative 5 squared equals 25. 5 squared equals 25. 0 squared equals 0. Negative 2 squared equals 4. Remember, when you square a negative number, it's going to be positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 squared is going to be 4, and then 0 squared is 0. Okay? But we're not done there. Once we have all of these values in the right-hand column, we're going to find the mean of those. So we're going to average them. 25 plus 25 plus 0 plus 4 plus 4 plus 0. Divided by how many numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we should have gotten, let's see, 58 divided by 6, which will give you something like 9.6. But this is not your standard deviation. Your standard deviation is going to be when you find the square root of that number, which should give you something around 3.1. And that is your standard deviation. That is going to be the distance between your mean and your data values. All right, so this sums up our last lesson for this. The next video that I want you to watch is called Calculators, and it'll go into more detail about that, and then you'll have your task for this week before the post-assessment.